Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello and welcome. In this session, we are revisiting some of the definition, motivation and types of entrepreneurship that we discussed in the previous session. We'll be focusing more on the definitional aspect of entrepreneurship and the difference between a small business and entrepreneurial venture, and how a small business can actually become an entrepreneurial venture. So, these are the questions that will be answered in the course of our discussion. Techno-economic contribution, why should one aspire to become an entrepreneur, entrepreneurs and the industrial development around the world since time antiquity. Then entrepreneurship and GDP growth, and as such, entrepreneurship, dictionary definition of entrepreneurship is one who organizes, manages and assumes the risk of a business enterprise. Entrepreneurs have a compelling vision and a comprehensive plan to execute that vision. So, they have a vision, and that vision is around a particular kind of a pain in a society that has impact, meaning that with the solution they are going to make an impact in the society, and they have a comprehensive plan to develop a solution and then execute. They have the capability to identify an opportunity in adversities, where other people identify only risks and adverse possibilities. Entrepreneurs also see the risk, not that they are unaware of the risk, but then they can see if we can overcome the risk in some method, meaning if you can develop a solution that will not have the risks that are visible, then there will be unique opportunity, because most of the people are not venturing into this domain. So, they will have something like a monopoly market in that domain. So, entrepreneurs have the capability to identify this kind of opportunities in adversities, and they translate that adverse situation into unique opportunity, and then they avoid failure by doing that. Alternately, if they start a business which everybody thinks that this is a wonderful business, so everybody will start that business. There will be so much competition, it will not exist as an opportunity for anybody, it will vanish in no time. So, they identify solutions to work around the adversities and risk and then accomplish their goal. They are comfortable with uncertainties and ambiguities, the ability to identify opportunity that others will never see, and to focus them with resolution, and they persevere constantly without becoming tired. They are open to new ideas and advice. Eventually, they become successful. These are some of the bookish definition. I will not read them through. Entrepreneurship is the pursuit of opportunity beyond resources control. It's given by Harvard Business School professor Howard Stevenson. So, whatever is the definition, it precisely means that entrepreneurs are those who can identify opportunities in a tricky situation and can come up with a solution that helps them to overcome the risk and help them to create unique value proposition to the customers who feel that their products or services are superior compared to the competitors and are available at a competitive price. They are entrepreneurs. Other motivating factor, if I have to list factors, I have 10 of them. Internal factors: observe agonizing pain or grievous pain in the society, in a group of people who are crying for help. Maybe there is a solution that is not adequate. So, entrepreneurship may be started to solve this problem, or usually some entrepreneurs will identify this kind of a pain and start. And some people actually come up with a brilliant idea to solve any of the problems that is bogging the society, and they have some kind of a epiphany moment, that some kind of a eureka moment, when they come up with this idea and then think that I can translate that idea into a product or service that will do a lot of good to the society. Of course, Altman and others will advise that you should not come up with an idea first and then look for a pain, but then there is no golden rule about this. If you really have a good idea and if you understand that this idea can solve a unique problem, then there is no problem in coming up with an idea and then looking for a pain. As conventional wisdom would say otherwise. Desire or passion to do something new and groundbreaking, to become independent, achieve what one wants to achieve in life. If you are familiar with Maslow's hierarchy, you know that at the bottom of the pyramid is the functional requirement or basic requirement, and then gradually you move up, and depending on where you are, you actually want to achieve something. Maybe you want to achieve self-esteem at some point of time when all other things have been met. So, you will be driven by creation of esteem to start a business. Other points are be recognized for one's contribution. Maybe you are working in a company, nobody contributes, or nobody recognizes your efforts, or your boss is actually taking the credit, but here you do something and you get the credit, and eventually you do something for the society, society is going to give you the credit. Then if you are educated and you have wonderful experience, you can put that to use in building a product and selling that at a competitive rate through a superior value proposition. Why not? And some people have the passion to do something significant, change the world for the better, make a dent on the universe. Entrepreneurs may perceive as a vehicle to create huge wealth. I mentioned in the previous slide that you can create unlimited wealth through entrepreneurship, and if you are highly creative, then your employer may not provide you kind of atmosphere where you can blossom your creative talent. So, become an entrepreneur and you have the opportunity. These were the internal factors. External factors are government assistance, conducive ecosystem that is presently prevailing, financial support. Sometimes government comes up with subsidies and all that, it is always there. So, that may also motivate. Availability of labor, raw material, proximity to the input. So, if you are close to the input, if you have something like a iron ore mine or coal mine, and you can think of starting a steel plant, something like that. Promising extraordinary demand of a product, you know that this product is highly demanded, there is shortage of supply. So, there is a demand supply gap, you start a business and reap the benefit. Sometimes society demands a solution, like for Zika virus there is no solution. Zika virus is perhaps too involving, but there may be many other contexts when society is demanding a solution and there is no solution, and you think that you can come up with a solution. You can bring change in the society through entrepreneurship. Think of that as a motivating factor. In short, entrepreneurs actually is about making many people happy. If you do something and if you think that many people are going to be happy with your product and or service, then you have every reason to start a business. Entrepreneurs have been doing that since time antiquity. They are actually making people happy, they are providing new technology, new product, better lifestyle and what not. You think of industrial revolution, we are actually in industrial revolution number 4, fourth industrial revolution. Many of us are not aware about it. Zeroth revolution, or before first industrial revolution, was everything used to be done using hand tools like some stone or some wooden plank or something, or maybe something bit of metallic tools, etc. Even textile was hand spun. There was the first cotton gin actually evolved in 1784. Sit back for a while and imagine our world before 1784. There was no machine, nothing of whatever we use in a single hour, maybe there was nothing like that. So everything was done manually, and society was in a different form, and there was no solution for many chronic bothering problems. So with technology invention came solutions to our problems, and life started becoming easier and easier and better. So entrepreneurs is the people who translated science into technology, technology into commercially relevant product and services. And most of the scientists became entrepreneurs. Many of the scientists become entrepreneurs who actually done a wonderful job for the civilization at large, and that is why civilization has made so much of progress in the last couple of centuries. Before that, for maybe 1,000 years, technology did not change much, whereas now the change is happening so fast. So we have the first, second, third and fourth generation of industrial revolution. We have so many things happening, and these are all epochs at a particular year or particular generation. We have crossed several generations with that. You can read that by pausing the slide. We will not spend a lot of time. So today we are in industry 4.0, where everything is smart. Your production process is smart, product itself is smart, smart cities, smart transportation, smart everything, which are possible through latest technology like IoT, like artificial intelligence, machine learning, autonomous vehicle, what not. So everything together, we are benefited. We are in a different society. We have less pain. The advent of new drugs have made our life longer, means life longevity is more, expectancy is higher, etc. These are all possible because of entrepreneur. Here is another analogy in a very different way. I am trying to project that entrepreneurship is everything. Like you look at Indian economy since say year 1. Year 1, our contribution to global GDP was 32%. Our GDP was low, but then it was 32% of the world GDP. But with the invasion by different agents and with our colonial era, etc., gradually coming in, our contribution to the global economy has started going down, but that is not the point that I am trying to make. Actually, with all of that and subsequent entrepreneurship building in the developed world means today's developed world, it was not a developed world earlier. Earlier, India, China and Thailand, these were the developed world. The European society was not as developed as India, as China, as many other parts of Asia. But then they promoted, for whatever reason, they promoted research and development, and through research and development came entrepreneurship, and their GDP started growing, their per capita GDP started growing, and eventually our GDP fell short of their GDP. So eventually it came down to something like 2% at some point of time. Maybe in 1980s our contribution was less than 2%. But now, of course, it's looking up. Look at comparison between China and India. It was almost like in 1400 China's contribution was, or say 1500, China and India was neck to neck. In 1700 India was slightly better off. But then gradually because of this invasion, nobody actually invaded China, and many actually invaded India. And then entrepreneurs took a back seat. Our entrepreneurship was known all through the history. Even during British era, our textile was superior compared to the textile in France, textile in Britain, etc., etc. They actually were always trying to compete with Indian textile industry, and then that is how they have automated their industry, and then eventually they superseded our industry. So our share of the GDP went down because European entrepreneurs helped Europe to supersede, Europe to come up with creation of new value for society, for the government, etc. The first publicly listed company was East India Dutch company. Even though the company is operating in India, they listed their company in Luxembourg. That was the first stock exchange. That shows how they promoted entrepreneurship and who captured the markets in India and reaped the benefit. India remained poor, whereas they became rich. It is because of the entrepreneurs that they promoted, or entrepreneurs promoted themselves. Entrepreneurs identify opportunities in adversities, identify possible methods to work around that, and then innovate new products, services that opens up new market, that helps people to consume more, and then eventually make value for the nation, for entrepreneurs, for themselves. They can innovate business models with superior value proposition. In fact, today's world, everything is about innovating new business model. Google has created new business model, Amazon created new business model, all have created new business model to disrupt existing business and then become successful. But then entrepreneurs or entrepreneurship is about a vision. Majority of Indian entrepreneurs do not have a vision, and that is why they fail. That's what people say. I am not saying this. Entrepreneurs who start a venture with a clear vision, long-term vision, normally they don't fail because of many reasons. One reason is that if you have a vision, if you fail, you will have the energy to fight back. If you are after money, you fail, you lose your money, you become demoralized, and then you don't start all over again. So entrepreneurs must have a vision. But then when do we want to reach that stage? How do we want to do it is all about entrepreneurship. Vision says the journey, and then gradually you make a plan and you make the course of action, you develop a minimum viable prototype, get it validated. It's called validated learning. We'll talk about that in detail moving forward. Vision actually keeps entrepreneurs going and gives them the energy to fight. So another definition, this slide is full of definition. The word entrepreneurs has originated from the French word entreprendre, meaning to undertake. In a business context, it means to start a business. Dictionary definition of entrepreneur is like this: one who organizes, manages, and assumes the risks of a business or enterprise. Entrepreneurship is about identifying an unmet pain in a group of people, should be large enough, that is our target customer, and that is defined as a market segment, who have this pain that we are going to solve, constitute the segment. It's a homogeneous group in a heterogeneous population. Innovating a suitable solution to alleviate the pain in a competitive way, meaning that solution should be superior in terms of efficacy, but cost effective in terms of competitors' price. Organizing a balanced team, arranging required fund, putting in place the required infrastructure, manage the business process, and making the product or service available to the customers, maintaining loyal and satisfying employees as well as customer, building loyal customer base, sustaining operation in a competitive manner so that scaling up becomes easy. Then you have to constantly endeavor to offer increasing better value so that you can remain ahead of competition, because competitors are also trying the same thing that you are trying. So whosoever tries better and tries more successfully will win, others will fall on the wayside. Then entrepreneurs assumes all the risk. So these are what entrepreneurs are supposed to do to create new venture and remain in the business and become successful in the long run. That is how they can do. Some dictionary definition that you can read later. Now there are two kinds of businesses actually in a broader sense, but then you can classify them as innovation driven entrepreneurship, corporate entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurship. Social can be for profit, not for profit, and there are small businesses. Of course, there are corporate entities, big corporate entities like Hindustan Levers, like ITC, like Procter and Gamble, and all that. But then in a startup context, there may be a small business. You can start a small business, you can start an innovation driven entrepreneurship. What are the difference? very importantly, before I get into the topic, very importantly, entrepreneurship business is characterized by innovation, number one, number two, scalability, meaning that business is not just doing something, it continuously improve. Then they have a superior value proposition, meaning that they are not selling what other people are also selling. So through innovation they bring product differentiation. In the process they create value for money for the for the customers, and then they disrupt existing business by bringing the superior value proposition. Here the difference between a small businesses are something like grocery shop that you should see in a marketplace, and there may be many things. Suppose you manufacture a very low quality soap and you never scale, you are satisfied with say certain volume or maybe with a 10% growth every year or something, then you will be termed as a small business, though you are in manufacturing. Small business owners have a good idea, okay, but then entrepreneurs have a big idea and a vision to achieve something great, not like selling something and making some monthly profit that should serve as a salary. Mostly driven by traditional knowledge. Small business are driven by traditional knowledge. Somebody is doing a grocery or maybe a sweet meat shop or something, you also do something. Whereas entrepreneurship is driven by innovation. Small businesses owners hold steady, meaning that they avoid risk. If they see that there is a growth prospect, but some risk is there, they don't want to do that. They want to hold steady so that they don't expose themselves to risk. Whereas entrepreneurs accept that big opportunity comes with huge risk, meaning that if there is no risk, but there is a big opportunity, that will evaporate any moment, because everybody will run for that because there is no risk. But you say that there is a risk and there is huge opportunity, then people will think twice before approaching. They will look at the risk fast. They will think that, my God, it may not be good for me. But there will be one or two guys who will evaluate the potential for risk and the potential for opportunity and the prospect of their capability to work around to overcome the risk. If that can be done, they have a wonderful business proposition, and that is what is entrepreneurial venture, or that is a process of creating entrepreneurial venture. Small business owners think about the things they need to finish this week, meaning they have a short term perspective. Entrepreneurs have a long term perspective. Even if they start a business today, they will think what they should start 6 months moving forward to stave off competition. Small business owners are sentimental with their business. They don't want to go outside. They are okay with their domain. Entrepreneurs focus on scaling into a newer height. Entrepreneurship is created around a vision, driven by innovation, unique value proposition, associated with achieving growth, extricating risk, always aim fast scalability and growth. Now, can a small business be entrepreneurial? It is always possible. It is always possible. You think of a grocery store. Think of a grocery store close to your residence, wherever you reside. Now think that you just try to interact with them, you will find that they have so much to improve. Their customer transaction is not so nice, they are not so polite. If they become slightly more polite, you will tend to come to that shop again and again. That itself is a first step to move forward, to scale the business. Now if they try to manage their inventory well, if they put their things in a well arranged, well organized manner, so that customer can walk in and then pick and choose whatever they would like to pick and choose. If they maintain very rigidly the expiry date of the item, so that nobody is surprised to see a nasty product, they will create loyal customer base who will come again and again and ask for newer things, that he can repeatedly bring new products in his store, and then scale business. At some point of time, he can think of delivering at home over telephone, and then eventually over an internet page or website or something. So gradually he can even think of scaling it up in the form of putting up another store elsewhere. So a small business can become an entrepreneurial venture moving forward very easily without doing much. It is doable. Little bit while doing that, there may be a little bit of risk, like suppose the guy scales up to two stores from one store. Now he is single man, so he has to have the capability to manage another store remotely, or have to put in infrastructure so that there is no opportunity of pilferage, and then he should feel comfortable that yes, I have another eye on that. So everything together, there is a little bit of risk, but if a small business is ready to take that risk and ready to innovate a little bit of a thing like this, he or she can become an entrepreneur in a environment where they are actually working. Determination is the biggest predictor of long-term success. Most importantly, unless you take the plans, unless you start the business, you will not know what potential you hold. Whether you are a potential successful entrepreneur or not, you should not judge that by your own mental makeup, own mental image that entrepreneurship is risky and I should not start. You should not think that way. You should perhaps take the plans, but then one can never dictate terms. You should look around, have a 360 degree view around you, and then consider taking the plans. In conclusion, entrepreneurship creates values for the society at large. All businesses can innovate, can take calculated risk to remain ahead of competition, and can be called entrepreneurial. Whatever one does and wherever one works, there is scope to use entrepreneurial qualities and make a difference in their customer service or delivery of their product and service and become successful. Reference, and thank you very much.